Hello everyone and welcome to Koach Koop's session on what is instructional design. If you want to learn more, let's go. If you look out on the internet or you read different books and read different research, you will see that there are a ton of definitions for what instructional design is. I'm going to give you my personal definition really based upon all of my years of experience, my years of research, and aligning it to what you as a teacher, what you do in the classroom. So, to me, instructional design is the art of organizing and developing learning content in a way that promotes an engaging learning experience, behavior change, and results. As teachers, whether you know it or not, you are doing a piece of instructional design when you're creating your lesson plans. You always start your lessons off by thinking about what you want your students to learn by the end of the lesson. You gather the content that you're going to use to teach the lesson. Then you create lesson objectives. You may have an activating prior knowledge activity in there where you're trying to get students to think about any prior experience they've had with whatever you're about to teach them. Then you move into your teacher-led instruction. After you've done your teacher-led instruction, some of you may do guided practice for students where you may have them working cooperatively on an assignment based on what you've taught them and what they've learned. Then they move into independent practice. And finally, they move into the assessment phase where you may give them a quiz, test, or project to determine whether or not the students have acquired the knowledge and skills they need to learn from the lesson. This is the core of instructional design, and this is what you do every day. Now, there are a lot of moving pieces to it that you will learn throughout this series, but at the end of the day, this is the core of training, learning, and development. What do our learners need to know by the end of the lesson in order to make behavior change and give results to whatever it is they need to do? So with instructional design, there are a few things or a few questions you want to ask yourself before you get started on your training or learning project. One of the major things you need to know is, what is the goal of the training? And specifically, what do learners need to know in order to address and solve the business need? Do they need to improve their work performance? Do they need to review their skills in order to stay compliant in a certain area? Has the business implemented new processes that the employees need to learn? Those are a few questions you need to know as far as the goal of the training. You also need to know, is there existing content for the training? Are there existing resources available to help you build the training out? Will there be a subject matter expert, or what we call in the field an SME, available to help you to leverage information from as you build out the training? You also want to think about who else is needed on your training team, or what other skills do you need in order to build this training out. As you're building out a training, which is a little different from being in the classroom, you are working with a team of people to build that training. So if you think back to the lesson plan example from earlier, usually when you create a lesson plan, even if you work in professional learning centers or PLCs, at the end of the day, you're still responsible for your lesson plan. In training, learning, and development, we work with a team of people to figure out what are the needs for the training, which is great. You also want to think about what processes will the team and I use to ensure that the training is developed in a timely, cost-efficient, and effective manner. In training and development, let's be honest, cost matters. Time matters. When people want training or they need training developed, they want it done yesterday. So what you and your team need to make sure that you all are doing is you need to make sure that you have tight processes in place so that for the most part, there are always going to be hiccups, but for the most part, that your design and development runs smoothly so that you all can have your deliverable delivered on time to the client. Speaking of deliverables, the last question you want to ask yourself is, what materials or deliverables need to be designed and developed for the training based on the training needs and objectives? Let me run that back. based on the training needs and objectives. So I want to keep it 100. You will have clients who want the sun, moon, and the stars. They will want this training that is jumping off the e-learning page or jumping out of your Zoom. But at the end of the day, does it meet the training needs and objectives? If it does not, then it is not effective training. Again, if the training does not meet the training needs and objectives, it is not effective training. It doesn't matter how beautiful it is. As you progress in this field, you will see that there are a lot of people out there who make a lot of beautiful e-learning and virtual instructor-led training and instructor-led training. But it is not effective because it doesn't align with the training needs and objectives. It may be engaging, it may be fun to do, but at the end of the day, again, we're all about doing this training to have results and a behavior change. Very important. Those are two things you always want to think about as you're building out training as an instructional designer. So in short, these are the core elements that make up what we call in the field the instructional design system. There's a whole lot of other things you will learn. I don't want to throw too much at you, but from this video, you should have learned what instructional design is. You see how closely it aligns with teaching? You all can make the transition. No problem. That is it for today's session with Koach Koop. Hopefully you've learned what instructional design is. If you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up button. Also, subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit that notification bell so when I drop these videos, you'll know that they're here. You want to learn as much as you can about instructional design before you make the transition. In addition, if there's something specifically that you want me to address as far as instructional design, leave it down in the comments. I make sure I read the comments. So leave it down in the comments and I'll make sure I get to it. Until next time, bye-bye.